morning. Let me also say that I'm grateful to be here today to join the rest of us here celebrating this great day and just remembering the works of Robert Chambers. I've known him for the last 15 years. Possibly the times he was working in Kenya, I wasn't born or I was still breastfeeding. I was talking with John Morris yesterday, and then when he told me something they were doing with Robert, I told him I was only 2 years then. I think around 1968. Some of the reasons that made him leave Kenya or what, I do not even know. But I know that he left some achievements which we are proud about. Today we still have the Kenya Institute of Administration. And I think before he left, because he had proved to be very radical, he had been told, go and manage the training institute. I think they saw him as radical Robert, as a colonial administrator. I think he went against the grain, and somehow he couldn't fit very well within the administration, I think. So when I met Robert in 1996, I had been working in the development field for about 5 years. As an anthropology student at the University of Nairobi, I went through the university, and I cannot say I had an encounter with participation or even PRA. And I only came to learn about it later, maybe around 4 years down the line. In my early days in the career, I was exposed to the logical framework. I was working for German-funded agencies, so I had to know about ZOP. Some of you may be very familiar with ZOP, ZL-oriented project Blunu. And it has been there for quite a while. And I was thoroughly inducted to that approach. And my trainer, who had lived in Germany for 19 years, was among the earlier practitioners of ZOP. And he came to Kenya with this new approach, and unfortunately it couldn't be applied at community level as such, because you had to work with only 25 participants, and you have these beautiful cards, you visualize and you think, and you come up with a very nice 4x4, kind of table, which is you can remove from your pocket and say this is what the project is about. So I think you needed to have as many log frames as the projects you had, because it's basically the final product is a project planning matrix that is logical, and the executives can look at and quickly understand what the project is all about. Now, the challenge is when our clients told us, now can you help us to really work with the communities and identify the issues, and we really struggled very hard. We tried, we simplified the logical framework, we were able to even translate it into Kiswahili and try to work with the communities through the process. But it wasn't easy, as you can imagine. But later, 1995, I got exposed to PRA. I think, Robert had been to Kenya in around 1988, and the PRA was, I understand the term PRA was first used in one of the communities there. So John Thompson is also here among the earlier practitioners, and I also understand Kamal in those early days had also been coming to Kenya. So I got exposed to this, but I didn't meet Robert until 1 year later, and for me it was a very big eye-opener, and I just wished I had been exposed to PRA when I was a student at the university. And maybe that is one of the, the challenges I will pose at the end, to ask if we are teaching enough of it, and if we think its days are gone. And I can tell you it's unfortunate, because it's needed as much as it was needed then. Anybody who is going into development, you find yourself going back and back and using those tools. Even the RRA is still very relevant. So clearly, participation, and particularly I would say about has influenced the thinking in development, and more in terms of how development is done. The whole question of really asking the people you want to work with and letting them to be part of the analysis, doing the analysis, being able to discover, to learn, and be part of the solutions which are being sought. So moving from the technical fixing of problems by technocrats to really getting the communities to systematically analyze the situation, understand it, and come up with the solutions to address the issues. definitely promoting aspects of ownership, sustainability, and being able to also engage with the different players who are involved in perpetuating the state of underdevelopment. And what we've seen today, I'm sure you've heard about rights-based approaches to development, and there is a strong link, clearly, when you think of the right to participation in itself being a leeway to also beginning to get the citizens toward the state to account. Issues about accountability. You know, participation definitely has brought about the whole question of getting people to demand for accountability or duty bearers to account, and being able to ensure that, you know, their rights are met. And I think it has also moved people from the traditional log frames. I've heard the term, the Germans started saying participatory log frames. I don't know how they look like, but I'm sure some of you have heard about participatory log frames, yeah? Well, I guess you do PRA, then you translate the data and put it in the log frame. So it becomes a tool just to organize the data. But definitely, there has been a shift from that, you know, narrow thinking of development to really embrace participatory processes, which are really, you know, promoting ownership in development processes. So is it a tyranny? Yes and no. Yes, because for those who are nostalgic about controlling, you know, and ensuring that everything they can look at and quickly at a glance they know what it's about, it's a tyranny because their power is being challenged. But for those whom it's, you know, empowering, then it's a tool that is helping us really to change the status quo. And for that matter, then it's not a tyranny, but a weapon to claim spaces for self-empowerment by those who are either marginalized or rights are being denied. Now, challenges. Okay, challenges, then I'll say quickly, they continue to be the old problem of professionalism. That problem is still there. Robert has been talking about it. Institutions remain the largest challenge to attaining participation. And we need to see what to do about that. We need to continue engaging. And opportunities, definitely, you know, today at least more than a half of the world population is young. We need to ask ourselves, how are we preparing children and youth for participation? You know, we need to make sure that those are, and then that brings the whole issue of the new horizon is ICT. If the young generation is the ICT they're using, how are we trying also to make sure that participation gets communicated through the new media? You know, for instance, you saw what happened in North Africa, you know about Twitter, you know about Facebook and all that. There's a huge opportunity. New communities are emerging, not under the trees anymore, but in the cyberspace. And we need to see how we can engage in that space also to equip the young people to continue with participation. Teach more of it in the universities, because I think very little is still being taught. And we need to see how we can mainstream it in our teaching. Thank you.